Cygnus vehicle delivering about 1,300 pounds of cargo to this Expedition 37 crew. Now the second commercial vehicle under the COTS program to successfully deliver a contingent of crew to the International Space Station, bringing a second commercial provider online. Again, all of this happening yesterday, and then today the crew was able to open up the hatches and enter Cygnus for the first time. Here we can see Luca and Mike Hopkins again getting a chance to open up Cygnus, docked to the Earth-facing side of Harmony. Prior to hatch opening, the crew, as with many visiting vehicles, conducts a series of leak checks, making sure that the common berthing mechanism functioning without any issues before getting the final go from the teams on the ground to open up the hatchway. Inside you can see the cargo, the craft only carrying up about half of its full potential of cargo during this demonstration flight, as this was a test flight. Inside, a number of experiments, including those flown by students, also food and clothing for the crew, which they started unloading today after the successful hatch opening. Again, just a little over 1,300 pounds inside of Cygnus. So you can see the crew entering Cygnus for the first time. This coming from earlier this morning after that hatch was opened at 3:10 a.m. Central Time. You can see Fjordi Urchikin and Karen Nyberg coming into view. The entire Expedition 37 crew gathering around to check out this vehicle on its first visit to the International Space Station. The hatch was opened after the crew completed all leak and power checks on the new vehicle between it and the International Space Station. Getting a quick close-up there of current Expedition 37 Commander Fyodor Yurchikhin. You can see the crew entering into the orbital Cygnus vehicle for the first time earlier this morning after they opened up the hatchway at 3:10 a.m. Central Time. The vehicle, which launched back on October 19th, September 18th rather, from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia, completing its final approach to the International Space Station yesterday morning. The craft, which completed all of its final demonstrations, demonstrating total control over the vehicle during its approach to the orbiting complex. All those done successfully on approach. The vehicle given the go without any issues during yesterday's operations. The crew getting a chance to go inside for the first time today. They'll be unloading some of the cargo inside, again over 1,300 pounds of which brought up to this Expedition 37 crew. Some of the first items out of the door today were some of the NanoRacks experiments containing various experiments, including those done by students that are being flown up to the station. Again, you're right now watching some video taken from earlier this morning as the Expedition 37 crew opened up the hatchway into Cygnus for the first time. Just a few moments ago, we saw Karen Nyberg was handed a sealed letter from inside Cygnus that contained some some good words and a photo of the Cygnus team. Again, just a few minutes ago, you saw Karen Nyberg holding up a photo of the Cygnus team responsible for managing this vehicle and helping it make its way to the International Space Station. Both NASA and orbital managers yesterday delivering very high praise to the teams responsible for handling the vehicle and guiding it on its path to the International Space Station. Again, many of the word flawless thrown around quite a bit yesterday as Cygnus made its final approach. And the team, including a nice little memento inside of Cygnus for this Expedition 37 crew, were responsible in some of the final stages of getting Cygnus to its new home, with Nyberg and Parmitano operating the robotic workstation and grapple and berthing the vehicle once it reached its final hold point. And you can see that once the crew gets inside, they're responsible for doing an initial checkout of internal systems inside the spacecraft, also photographing the cargo layout for teams on the ground, where they're able to check how everything shook out post-flight to the International Space Station, make sure everything's in order, and see if they spot any issues. Inside right now in this playback from this morning, NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins there on the top part. And you can see Luca Parmitano from the Italian astronaut from the European Space Agency a little bit further inside Cygnus. Parmitano was the prime for operating the robotic arm, reaching out and grappling with it yesterday morning on Sunday. That Cygnus vehicle being captured right around 6 a.m. Central Time. The crew then worked fairly ahead of schedule, getting the vehicle docked a few hours before it had been originally timelined, working very quickly and guiding Cygnus into its final docking port on the Earth-facing side of Harmony. With all of those successful operations on Sunday, the crew able to open the hatches this morning and get inside and begin unloading all of the cargo. The vehicle is scheduled to remain docked for a little over 3 weeks to the station. Right now targeted to depart on October 22nd, after which the spacecraft will enter into a destructive re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere, much like the other robotic vehicles, the HTV from Japan and the ATV from Europe, and also the Russian Progress vehicle. The Cygnus craft having a lot in common with the Leonardo module, which was a multi-purpose logistics module carried during the shuttle days, used to deliver cargo in a shuttle cargo bay to the International Space Station, eventually becoming a permanent fixture. The Cygnus also using the same comm system as the Japanese HTV vehicle, which located in the Japanese Kibo module, helps the crew maintain communication and be able to send commands if necessary to the vehicle. You're continuing to watch replays from hatch opening earlier this morning. Expedition 37 crew successfully opening the hatch to Cygnus this morning at 3:10 a.m. Central Time. Hatch opening being done after all of the leak and power checks were done successfully. Once open, the crew responsible for doing a quick checkout of all of the internal systems and making sure everything's in place. Also, you can see making sure the atmosphere revitalization inside the craft safe for the crew. Continuing to watch some footage from earlier this morning. Expedition 37 crew's first trip inside of the Cygnus vehicle, which was grappled and berthed successfully yesterday. Crew opening up the hatch earlier this morning at 3:10 a.m. Central Time. Inside you can see NASA astronauts Karen Nyberg and Mike Hopkins, one of the newest crew members on board the station. By this point, they've finished up all their safing procedures, getting right into unloading some of the cargo inside. Cygnus delivering over 1,300 pounds of supplies to the Expedition 37 crew. Some of the first items they were tasked with getting out earlier today were some of the NanoRack experiments flown, including a number of student experiments flown on board the vehicle. Here we see the full 6-person contingent of Expedition 37 taking a peek inside of Cygnus.